Hello everyone. Today we will be looking at the recently closed SeaWorld Monorail. I have photos and video footage from 3 different dates. The first date being 2019, when I've got photos and videos from inside the park of the monorail operating. The second date is from 2022. This is all from again inside the park, but it was not operational. We will see where the monorail carriages were sitting as well as where they used to stable them. And the final date is January of 2024. The clips from January of 2024 are not from inside the park and they are just from out the front, but you can clearly see that the monorail is not used. To start the video, we hang out with this dolphin. The monorail behind the dolphin is when it was in use. And here is the only footage I have of the monorail actually operating. Before we start the main part of the video, we will have a quick look at the history of the SeaWorld Monorail. The SeaWorld Monorail opened on the 15th of August 1986. The line was 2 kilometres long and cost 3 million Australian dollars to build. The only reason it originally closed was because of construction where they had to remove the monorail track temporarily. But due to rising maintenance costs and lack of parts, in 2024, SeaWorld Gold Coast officially announced that it would be permanently closed. The SeaWorld Monorail operated with 3 9-car Monorail Holding Mark II sets. One of these sets came from Brisbane World Expo 88. The other 2 sets from Expo 88 are now operating in Germany since 1995. The SeaWorld Monorail was also only one of 4 monorails built in Australia, the others being World Expo 88 in Brisbane, the Sydney Monorail, and Oasis Shopping Centre in Gold Coast. Like the SeaWorld Gold Coast Monorail, all of these are no longer operating. I'll link a video in the description from when I visited the old abandoned Sydney monorail stations. Now we will go for a ride on the monorail. This video here is when leaving mid-monorail station. There were 3 monorail stations on the clockwise loop. These were Monorail Main Station, Mid-Monorail Station, and SeaWorld Resort Monorail Station. The other monorail track you can see here goes under Mid-Monorail Station and is where the monorail would be stabled. We will have a closer look at this bit later on. Here is a map of the SeaWorld Gold Coast Monorail I made up. As you can see, the 3 stations being Monorail Main Station, Mid-Monorail Station, and SeaWorld Resort Monorail Station. You can also see the siding track I've included that went to a maintenance facility underneath Mid-Monorail Station. This was not open to the public. This clip here is at SeaWorld Resort Monorail Station. And here are just some photos while it was in use. Unfortunately, I don't have any photos or videos of Monorail Main Station. I never intended to make a YouTube video out of these clips and photos, so I don't have a massive collection of them. We are now up to the photos and videos taken in 2022. In this first photo, it still looks like it could be operating. But if we head a bit closer to the actual carriages, you can see that it doesn't look like it's moved for a while. The reason there is 2 monorail tracks is because one is the siding track I mentioned earlier, which is on the right of this picture. You can also see in this picture that it looks like the siding track is currently connected to the main track. The siding track is cut off and no longer goes under mid-monorail station, which is where the monorails used to get their maintenance done. Here is a photo of Google Maps Street View. You can see the monorail is parked underneath mid-monorail station. This is where that siding track would have used to have gone. Here is a very old looking sign at mid-monorail station telling you that the stairs go up to the monorail. Here are some dolphins. Who would have thought I would have seen these? This here is where the monorail used to pass over a food court area. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of it here, but I can still kind of remember seeing it go over. Here is probably the lowest place the monorail goes in the park. And here is SeaWorld Resort Monorail Station. This was the only station accessible in 2022, and I'm assuming that it would still only be the station accessible, as it was the only way you could get from the resort to the park. You now have to use the stairs and walk into the park. Also here, you can see that the monorail tracks have not been used for a while because of the rusted track. Now time for the final lot of photos and videos from 2024. Since I did not visit the park this time, we got to get a ferry operated by Hoppo. The Hoppo ferry was on the more expensive side because it wasn't part of a go-kart. It was $45 for an unlimited travel day pass for an adult. Concession was $35 and a child was $25. The ferries have 5 stops, operating between Surfers Paradise and SeaWorld. There are 8 services a day with an hour frequency. Services depart Surfers Paradise between 9:15am and 4:15pm and SeaWorld from 10:10am to 5:10pm. After arriving at SeaWorld, the monorail track at first glance still looks like it is in a usable condition. I'm assuming that this here is a signal. The silver covering around the track is only around the lower parts of the monorail. I'm guessing this could be because since it's so low to the ground, people could climb on something and touch the technical stuff around the track, meaning the silver covering would prevent that. This video you would have seen earlier from 2022 is a good example of how someone could just reach up and touch the technical stuff if the covering wasn't there. As we move round the outside of the park, it becomes obvious that the monorail hasn't been used in years. The entry point for the track going into Monorail main station is completely covered with trees and bushes all growing around the track. The official year it was announced permanently closed was 2024. But the monorail had not been operating since late 2019 due to construction around the park where the monorail track ran through. So what's happening with the monorail now? Well, 2 of the 3 sets that were operating at Gold Coast SeaWorld were already removed when I went in 2022, which is why I only have photos and videos of one of the sets from 2022. And on the 16th of August 2024, it was reported that the track would be dismantled later that year. So this means that in the near future, there is no chance of the SeaWorld monorail returning. There may be a replacement one day, but the park doesn't really need it. It's nowhere near as big as other theme parks around the world that have monorails, but I think the main selling point on the SeaWorld monorail were the views you were able to get over the park as well as over the Coral Sea. Another reason why people visiting the park might have liked the monorail could have also been because it was different and they've never been on one before. Unless you went on the World Expo 88 monorail, or if you went on the Sydney monorail, as well as the Broadbeach Oasis Shopping Centre monorail, there is no other options to ride a monorail in Australia. But now, obviously, with the SeaWorld monorail gone, there is no more monorails in Australia. The problem is, even if the monorail did stay open, the trains would need a replacement very soon. The 3 sets were approaching 40 years old, and they didn't include air conditioning. This isn't too much of an issue because it was only a short circuit, but it would get really hot on the hot Queensland summer days. I also later found this footage of going over the food court area. I also thought it would be reasonable to add that the monorail was one of the park's original attractions, which probably also made it more popular. I still remember the first thing of the park I saw was the monorail. When arriving in a taxi driving down SeaWorld Drive, which the monorail used to run parallel to, the first thing you saw of the park was the monorail. Once again, thanks for watching everyone. If you enjoyed, please do consider subscribing, as well as giving the video a like. And hopefully you'll be back watching future videos. Bye for now.